here on New Earth International. And here she is herself, Kat Kanavos.
Welcome to the show, everyone. We're so glad you're here with us. We've been waiting for you all week. And we have a really special guest today because this is number 4 of the Realities of Creation Telesummit series. It's actually not a telesummit because ours is a video. So you get to see the authors in the Realities of Creation book. And I've got one book behind me, and here's the other one right here, Realities of Creation. And I'm so excited to tell you that we know so we are well on our way to becoming a #1 Amazon bestseller, and this is only the 4th day since it's been out. So that's really, really impressive. So our guest tonight is Lynn Waldrop, and she is known as the body channeler, or the body channel. And she's basically a medical intuitive on steroids. So I'm going to be asking her about that. And she energetically dives into the body of her clients anywhere in the world you happen to be. She can get there and check you out. So welcome to the show, Lynn.
Thank you so much. So glad to be here.
So Lynn, tell us, what do they mean by you are a medical intuitive? For those of our watchers and listeners who are going, I've heard of those, but you know what? I don't think I really know any. And I'm kind of wondering what they are.
The bodies have a tendency to talk to me. So I call it take a dive into health. But basically, I connect with the person, and the body will show me different areas of disease or disharmony in the body. So I might dive in and find that you don't have a gallbladder, or that you have lung issues going on, or you have a urinary tract infection. The body will just give me information, and then I'll tell you what the body tells me. And the fun part about it for me is while I'm in there, it gives me formulas of different energies to deliver to change it, to give your body the energy to change it on its own.
So what do you mean by formulas? How does that work?
It can be anything. I've done radiation, pulling radiation out of people, and the body would tell me, give it this particular frequency or bind it to this particular chemical to get the chemical to come out of the body, or give a particular laser frequency for cancer cells. So, the body will tell me exactly what it wants to do, what it would take to change it.
Oh my goodness. So what is the mind-body connection that you talk about in your chapter in Realities of Creation?
Really, the reason why I wrote that is because so many people separate all these parts of themselves. They separate their mind from their body, from their spirit. And what I try to tell people is, look, you are just one being, all of these molecules that are just vibrating at a particular frequency to make this false looking body, because this body isn't real. It's just energy that's vibrating at a frequency, just like the table and the chair in front of me. We're just at different frequencies. So it's a matter of how do we keep things fluid in the body, because fluidity in my world is how we keep health. Everybody talks about blockages in the body and how they have this blockage in a chakra or this blockage in an organ. Well, if we can keep the energy moving the way it's supposed to, rather than becoming solid, we don't have to create disease in our world.
So by staying fluid, we don't manifest something to become solid.
Yes.
Do you have a tip for helping our listeners stay fluid? What can they do to do that?
One of the biggest things would be look at your thoughts, feelings, and emotions, because in my world, your thoughts, feelings, and emotions create everything. They create your body, they create your world, they create everything in your world. And so sometimes one of the most common ones is I'll have women that are in their 50s, 60s, and even 70s and more that maybe their libido is a little lower than it used to be. And they'll create physical reproductive problems. And sometimes it's because they no longer want to have sex, or their husband cheated on them and they don't want to have sex, or for whatever reason. It can be a lot of different reasons. They don't want the sex anymore. And because of that, we create then a medical problem so that we don't have to say no. Now we have a reason why we can't. And so we can actually create a disease, create a problem based off of originally just something where if we would have just said, honey, not interested tonight, you didn't have to create that. So that ripples out into all areas of your world, not just sex, but everything.
Mm-hmm. So in a way, we create those walls or those blockages that are distracting us from the real problem. So we kind of need to focus in on what that real problem is, no matter what it is, and not create a bigger one, so that we don't have to look at the true problem. And as far as thoughts go, I've always said, if you are what you eat, you become what you think. So keep your thoughts positive and light. And sometimes it's so easy to fall back into that victimization where, your thoughts are going, oh, poor you. And you've just really got to let go of that and say, I'm not a victim. I'm not the fly on the windshield. I'm the windshield. And look at it that way.
To add to that, I just had a client today that gave me this particular example where she was like, okay, it would just be easier for me to say, fine, I'll do it your way, or fine, I will help you. When you do that out of that obligation, or you have that little zip of resentment or something because you really don't want to do that thing, it really is better to say, you know what, I can't do that today, Kat. Maybe we have a rain check and we'll do it later. Saying this doesn't work for me is okay. And so many people get caught in, I have to do for all these people, even at my own detriment, that I find that that's one of a very common reason that people create blockages and disharmonies in their body.
And women aren't natural caregivers. We are the ones that always say, yes, yes, yes. We find a way to make it happen. And by learning to just say, no, no, in a way we learn to say yes to ourselves, and we don't burn ourselves out. I know that in my book, I talk about how we are often the wells, and for our family, we give them the nourishment or whatever our family needs to be successful. But when you give so much out of your well, there comes a point where there's nothing left in there for you, and you're trying to survive off of an empty well. And I saw that happen a lot with the women who were in my radiation group. They were functioning off of an empty well. And so when you find that you're being emotionally depleted, it's time to take a step back and just say no. And you don't have to explain no. You just say, I just can't do that right now. Let's visit that later. And it's okay to do that.
And one of the most common ways I say that is, I'm sorry, that just doesn't work for me right now. It seems to get you off the hook. And what you're talking about is really a truth, which is if mama ain't happy, nobody is. Because, if you're not taking care of you in some way, shape, or form, you can't really take care of others. And I love the fact that you use the word caretaker. If you go back to the 1913 dictionary, the definition of caretaker is onerous, burdensome responsibility. Do you really want to be a caretaker? Okay. So how about you do it because you love them, or how about you do it for whatever that other reason is? But, I've never had a good energetic feeling when people talk about caretaking of others. And then I understood why when I went back to that particular dictionary.
Yeah, that's amazing. I didn't know that, but that's like, yeah, that's not a definition I want to be a part of. So tell us what TFEs are. What's a
TFEs? Our thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And they're what we've just been talking about in terms of what actually creates our reality. So there's so many women that will tell me that, oh, they don't feel beautiful today, but yet they don't really want to be seen. They have a safety thing going on, or they have an attention thing. And so when that happens, you get this conflict kind of set up in the world where you're saying, I don't want wrinkles anymore, or I don't want weight anymore, right? But you have this conflict. And so the body's going, but wait a minute, I need to protect myself, or I need to do this. And we put a mask on, or we put weight on to protect. So, and I'm not saying that's the situation for everybody. That's just kind of a very broad example I see a lot. And that's where TFEs get in the way. And they can even be TFEs, thoughts, feelings, and emotions, from some other lifetime. They don't even have to be from this. So to me, they're like a record that we have a record player in front of us. I'm showing my age here. We have a record player in front of us, and we just pull this record off the wall and go, okay, so this just happened. So this record's what goes on, and it just starts playing, and we don't even know why we're doing what we're doing. And it's because this trigger says this is how we're supposed to respond to that. So we go through and we clear all of those storehouses, those thoughts, feelings, and emotions out.
And how do we do that? Can you give us a tip on how to clear those out? Because it's so hard. Sometimes it's like, I don't know, they just turn on automatically. You didn't even push the button. It's starting.
To me, the recognizing of those is step one, because if you can really kind of watch your words and watch what's about to come out of your mouth, a lot of times, I mean, I know y'all have done this where you said something and then you just went, what the heck did I just say? Like, where did that come from? Okay, so it's really paying attention to what you're saying and then looking at the energy behind it and going, well, what does that really mean to me? Like, a perfect example for me is, what does it mean to be my partner? I tell people to do this exercise all the time. So for all of you people out there that are married, want to be in a relationship, are in a relationship, we have these insane ideas of what that person is supposed to be in our world. What do they have to do to show us that they love us? Okay. There's the book out about the love languages. That's a perfect example. Some people need things bought for them. Some people need them to have service acts. Okay, so we have all these ideas of what this person has to do. So what does it really mean to be my partner? When I did that exercise for myself, I realized that I wanted my husband to support me, not financially. I wanted him to be there, have my back. And I went, okay, what does that really mean? And when it really went down to it, it was him come to one of my classes, him participate in what I do as a medical intuitive. And I went, well, wait a minute. He's a contractor. I've never gone on the job and learned how to mix mortar and build a wall. Why should I want him to have to come to one of my classes and learn what I'm doing? Okay, so we have very unrealistic expectations. And so if you can cognitively go there, you can go, well, wait a minute, never mind, I don't need that, and throw it away. Well, I'm gonna go to something else. That's not what I want. And you keep going down the rabbit hole of all these things of what does it mean to be my partner, until I got to the point was, do I want to go home to him? Does he make me laugh? And do I have fun with him? And that's the bottom of the barrel for me. As long as he satisfies those three things, I'm good.
Oh.
So it's going through that list in your mind of what's getting in your way.
So would you say that that's some of the most destructive TFEs to the body?
Obligation, responsibility, all of those kinds of things. Even a lot of depression and things like that are very destructive because you're always on yourself. When you have that little mind chatter that's going, you're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not whatever that is, that's that mind chatter that really, really is destructive to the body because you hear it all day, all the time.
So how do we shut it off? What do you do?
Out, you have to train that mind, retrain it. And so the mind only has in it, it's like a movie projector. Stuff that's been put in there is all that it can spit back out. That's different than your knowing, your intuition. That's a totally different level of awareness. And so we don't want to just allow that mind to take over. It's no more important than the body is. Everything has to work together. So remember, every molecule in your body, every molecule in the universe has consciousness, so you can tap into that. So what's the mind think? What's the body think? What do the molecules out here think? What do I think? And start looking at what are the different possibilities that you can actually utilize rather than just focusing in one area.
Interesting. That's a great idea. And is there something like what should our listeners, if somebody's going, well, how do I make it stop as soon as it starts? What do you do to make it stop? What can you do to replace it? What do you replace it with?
It isn't necessarily replacing it with anything. It's more like throwing the trash out. Okay. There's a lot of people that will say that, nature abhors a void. And so if we have something, we have to replace it with something. But we're really just getting it out of the body, getting it out of your field. So it's kind of like it's almost like being an observer in the movie as well as acting in the movie. And so here you are, you're acting in your play of life. And all of a sudden in the beginning, it comes out your mouth and you go, whoa, what did I just say? And then you go, wait a minute, rewind. That's not happening in my world. Okay, we're throwing that one out. And instead, it's like, okay, this is what I'm choosing. I'm going to choose this over here. So instead of having to keep playing this record over here, you know what? I'm going to make a different choice. I'm going to look over here and choose this now. Now, that doesn't mean that the very first time that it's just going to completely change, okay? Some other trigger, some other person, some other scenario may come up. And this time, maybe you'll catch it before it comes out your mouth. You'll just catch yourself thinking about it and you go, oh, there's that thing that came up again. And you can do the same, use the same information to go, wait a minute, I'm not going there. I'm not even going to say it this time. So it depends on what the situation is, what your thoughts, feelings, and emotions you're trying to get rid of. But it may take a few times. And if you'll consciously keep doing this, for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you'll be amazed at how much you will clean out of your closets.
Oh, that's a great idea. Cleaning it out of the closet, throwing the trash away. But you said a very interesting word there, trigger. People are triggered into reactions. So what would you, I just hit my trash can. What would you suggest we do to diminish or disconnect those triggers?
Okay, so here's a great example that a lot of people can identify with. When you were a kid, you fell, you got a boo-boo, mom baked cookies or mom baked cake or something sweet, right? And you go and you sit down and mom gives you a cookie and milk. So people then will take the emotion of being hurt and attaching it with have to have cookies or mom's love or just to feel love in general and go, I have to have cake. Okay. So then as we go through life, anytime, that's how emotional eating starts, right? As we go through life and all of a sudden life kind of kicks us in the rear end, we go, okay, I need a cookie. And that's where this comes from. So we have these thoughts, feelings, and emotions or things that happen that trigger us. But again, if you will recognize that, if you'll go, how many times have you been sitting down eating a bunch of cookies and going, why am I eating these? These don't even taste good. Or a potato chip or whatever. Okay. Sometimes it's literally just the conscious looking at what we're doing, being that observer of what we're actually doing. So it's kind of like pulling yourself back out of the picture. Here's me in the picture, but I'm kind of also watching myself. I'm watching everything around me. I'm like one of these universal observers. Who loves to people watch? Okay.
Oh, I do.
Okay.
Yes.
So start watching you as one of the people. See, that's the thing. So many people love to watch other people, but put yourself in the picture too. You'll be amazed at what you will learn about yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So in other words, the next time you sit down with a big bag of cookies, and you're going, why am I eating these cookies? Maybe one of the questions you need to ask yourself is what happened 15, 20 minutes ago that triggered the cookie craze?
Yeah.
Go back there and look at yourself and replay. What does that cookie mean? And that could be, what does it really mean? Maybe it means a lot more than just tasting good. It makes you feel good. And that's the real magic of that cookie, is making you feel good. So if you've got a weight problem, or let's say you have a health issue like diabetes, and you find that you need that cookie to make you feel better, maybe what you need to do is the next time you feel triggered to go and have the cookie, look back to see what happened and then figure out something else that could make you feel even better without jeopardizing your health or your body or your system.
Well, and one of the things too is just a lot for me recognizing